Hi, and welcome back to the episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is another episode that kind of stemmed from a previous episode where I was making comments about a podcast. So in this episode, I'm going to continue with the kind of the second half of the episode, where I'm going to comment on one of the guests that was actually on that particular podcast. Okay, but again, before we begin, I'll go down below, click like, and click subscribe, so that you'll get all the notifications that comes up when you get put out new videos. Again, YouTube doesn't really recommend my things, maybe just because of the fact that I mentioned the word hentai a lot of times, and maybe that's what kind of keeps me getting blocked. But all means, do click like and subscribe for that. And there's also a anime database which I also will keep separately to keep track of all the episodes and that kind of stuff. Link is below. Do check that out, and that will give you better access to all the episodes I have, better than what YouTube will do. Anyway, so a little bit of history, and I'll back up here and kind of go back and give you kind of a little background here. So basically, what had happened is that I got a notification from YouTube that I've been mentioned in a video. Someone obviously put the tag on one of the videos, so that basically gave me a notification for that. So I checked it out. It's from the podcast called the Anime Weebs, and they're talking about this really forgotten anime, Maho Demo Steady, or My Steady's a Witch, or something like that, or my girlfriend is a witch. Okay, and so you go back to that episode and you can have a look at it. Anyway, so for this particular episode, I want to concentrate on their guest. They had a Kenny Lauderdale on their show, and they're talking about this particular anime because he made the episode about featuring this particular anime. So I went over to his channel, and he's got like way more subscribers than I do. He's like the happy console gamer with the 200,000s of subscribers on his channel. So definitely a much bigger name than me on YouTube for sure. But I went through this different list, and he had a really interesting one called the Cutest Anime Ever. Okay, and kind of clicked on it, and I looked at it, and it was Space Family Carl Vinson. So I thought, okay, well, what the heck? I clicked on it and had a look at it because we at Arctic Animation did one of the fan subs for Space Family Carl Vinson. So I thought, okay, let's see what is actually in the video. And so I pulled different clips and that stuff off the video, and I was watching it. But and for the most part, he did a pretty good job, describing and giving sort of a review, if you will, of this particular anime. But what really caught me was he made a really interesting reference that he probably could have never, obviously he would never have known, the run of why he made that comment. Of course, it's the comment of instead of making information and facts and that kind of stuff about what you would perceive that is in the anime, he decided to throw in something which I thought was a little off base, but he didn't realize how on base he probably was. And so I'm going to use this episode to kind of bring that to note. Okay, so first of all, we'll talk about this. So there is this anime called Space Family Carl Vinson. Again, if you want to watch this video, he does a really good job, when to do the research and to bring this anime out there. And the anime is out available, digitally now, after we did the fan sub for it. Okay, so Space Family Carl Vinson was one of the animes that Arctic Animation did. I went back into archives to have a look at it, and I basically realized, okay, yeah, from an archive list that I saw that was basically distributed around the intranet at that time, which is usually anime.rec arts or anime, that kind of thing. From 1996, we had this animation, Space Family Carl Vinson. And if you ordered it from Arctic Animation at the time, we had Carl Vinson on the same tape as Ladius. Okay, so normally what I'd do is I would pull out the Laserdisc for Carl Vinson and Ladius for you, but I just realized that way back in the early days, way back at episode 45, I did an episode where some laser discs of mine got destroyed by a leak in the plumbing system, okay? And it just so happens that Space Family Carlson and Ladius were on the list of the lasers. So, the actual physical discs I still have, but I no longer have the nice cover and everything on for that because they both sustained water damage. So I can't show you that part anyway. So, but you can go on the internet and you can look up those things. But yes, so people who are were enough in the loop and were able to get a hold of the list. Yes, Arctic Animation was distributing and making copies of this for this particular anime, and it's kind of neat, because my favorite character in it is the dad, okay, Oto-san, and the thing that was always kind of neat for me about it was that because I was really into like mecha shows and that kind of stuff, right? And of course, the dad is the epitome of the the giant robot that just keeps getting bigger, right? Okay, because if you kind of watch the anime, you'll notice that Oto-san keeps getting more stuff. Like he keeps getting bigger and bigger. Starting from basically just sort of a regular person-sized thing, and then he becomes almost like a Batroid or a Transformer-sized thing, and then at the very end he's like literally like an SDF-1 size thing, right? So it's kind of kind of cool. And again, watch the anime. It's a fun, down-to-earth sort of anime if you ever get a chance to do that. So that was fun. And his favorite of mine is calling the little girl's name Colonna, right? And it's like. And that's the other thing that I was watching Kenny's video. I know the text, it's written as Corona, as like coronavirus, but of course the way that the Japanese will pronounce it and the way that Tosan pronounces it, it's Colonna. Anyway, but yeah, so I was continue watching this little clip that he does, and he then ponders how I got the name. A Space Family Carl Vinson.
Now at this point you're probably wondering who Carl Vinson even is, right? Well, Carl Vinson was a US congressman for 50 years, who had very, very little to do with anime, and based on what little info I can gather, I'm assuming that this anime was named after his battleship that floated around Japan sometime in the 1980s, and I know I'm not supposed to give my opinion on this channel, but I can't help but feel like this anime was supposed to be called Space Family Carl Sagan at some point. That would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? I'm almost sure somebody saw the movie Swiss Family Robinson in Japan, and they just wanted to do something similar, but when they had to change it last minute, that left this anime with the name of a battleship that nobody's ever heard of.
And whether or not it's actually named after the Carl Vinson, aircraft carrier or not, I have no idea. But he makes, I'm probably leaning towards Swiss Family Robinson. Whether or not it's the novel, it's kind of hard to tell because that's again from the '60s. Whether the anime from that, but it's a little closer, I guess. Still based off of the novel from the '60s. I thought maybe it might be like the similar idea from like Gilligan's Island, but again, that's also from the '60s. So that's also hard to determine. But he made a reference that at one time he thought it might have been, based off of like Space Family Carl Sagan, and I know that he probably, he was making that as an aside sort of joke and all that kind of stuff, but it kind of it hit me kind of funny because again, at this time, 1988, Carl Sagan did have this very big book called Cosmos, and he released that earlier, and that was a big thing on PBS at that time. So much so that, as I said, that was one of my favorite shows, and it was really, really inspirational to me. Now, I'm not just saying that, because I actually, show you something that was really interesting. I'm going to pull up something here. This is my high school annual book, okay, from 1982, 1983. So this is when I graduated out of junior high school. That's grade 10. Grade 10, okay, so going on to grade 11, okay, and as part of the graduating class, you get to write a little comment, okay, your graduation comment, okay, And so here I am on this page here with my comment. And if you read it, reads, Bill wants to become the host of the show Cosmos. He also wants to be he also wants to be famous for the new computer game Chow. Okay, so at that time, yes. So his as much as it seemed to me as a joke, it was actually quite funny that yes, I was really really interested in the show called Cosmos. And here I am. I'm not hosting the show Cosmos. I'm hosting my own YouTube channel about anime. So it's kind of ironic that everything's kind of goes around and actually ended up doing pretty much what my high school comment actually was. Okay. So that was rather kind of interesting for that. So I decided, okay, I'll make a video and put this as a little comment and to kind of just see how interesting things just kind of came around and being that. So yes, that's my comment for this. If you do have a chance, do check out this anime. It's don't expect long going story because it's a one shot OVA, about 50 minutes long if I remember right. And it's a great sort of feel good sort of made for everyone sort of slice of life kind of anime. So if you got time, check it out. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out and give you my sort of little story on this. So now the internet has somebody talking about Space Family, Carl Vinson. All right, so I'll get into more episodes where I pull different things out of archives and that kind of stuff and talk about them. All right. So until next time, see you again.